The only 4 exercises you need for wide and defined back muscles. It's truly amazing how many people spend years sweating in the gym and still have backs that are practically the same size. So, if you really want that imposing physique, with wide lats and a V shape that turns heads wherever you go, today we'll show you the only 4 exercises you need to build a truly powerful back. And remember, having a broad back isn't just about aesthetics. Strong back muscles help with almost every other workout, provide stability and support for your body, and even improve your posture. When someone looks at you from the front, they see your shoulders. But when they see you from behind, what stands out is the width of your lats. The truth is, there are certain pitfalls that seriously hinder back development. Many people come to me complaining that they've been training their back for a long time, but never really feel the target muscle working. Others only feel their arms getting tired, giving out long before their back muscles even reach their limit. That's why, before we get into the exercises, we need to talk about the 3 mistakes most people make in back training, because doing the right exercises the wrong way won't get you anywhere. Mistake number 3. Taking the work away from your back muscles by overusing your biceps and forearms. One of the most common mistakes, perhaps the most common of all, is letting your biceps and forearms do most of the work during back exercises. When you perform a pull or a row, your back muscles should be the main focus. But if you pull with your arms instead of pulling with your back, you end up overloading the biceps, forearms, and even shoulders, taking the main stimulus away from your back. To check if this is happening, pay attention to how each rep feels. If your arms are burning much faster than your back, it's a sign you're not properly activating your lats. A big part of this problem comes from not knowing how to position your scapulae and keep your torso stable throughout the movement. In pull exercises, like lat pull-downs or pull-ups, for example, many people simply bend their elbows and bring the bar close to their body using arm strength, instead of initiating the movement by contracting their back, pulling the scapulae down and in, and only then bending the elbows. Another crucial point is your grip. If you grip the bar too tightly or at the wrong angle, your forearms will fatigue before your lats, turning the exercise into an arm workout in disguise. A valuable tip is to use the so-called false grip or hook grip, where you don't fully close your hand. It's almost like you're just hanging your fingers on the bar or handle, focusing on pulling with your back strength, not your wrists. Additionally, try to keep your elbow pointing downward or slightly backward, but not outward. This helps direct the effort to your lats. Remember to focus on pulling your elbows toward your torso instead of thinking about pulling the bar with your hands. Mistake number 2, not using the correct range of motion. Range of motion is everything when it comes to back training. Unlike some muscle groups where excessive range can sometimes be harmful, for the back, it's crucial to pull all the way and return with control, allowing the scapulae to move fully. If you do very short reps, stopping halfway, you miss the opportunity to recruit the maximum number of muscle fibers. In the late pull-down, for example, it's common to see people lowering the bar only to their chin or just to a comfortable point, before quickly returning. This prevents them from reaching the final phase of contraction, the part where the lats are most engaged and the scapulae adduct. Others rush through the return phase, letting the bar go back up without control. This is another critical issue. The eccentric phase, when you return to the starting position, is just as important as the concentric phase. Whether in pulls or rows, the goal is always to open up your back properly during the eccentric phase, allowing the scapulae to spread apart and the lats to stretch as much as possible, of course, without letting the shoulders roll forward in a dangerous way. Then, during the concentric phase, you fully contract your back, bringing the scapula together and really feeling the muscle shorten. Naturally, to do this, you need to choose a weight that matches your strength level. If the load is too heavy, you'll end up cheating the movement and won't be able to achieve full range of motion. Lifting excessive weight without proper range won't develop your muscles as it should and increases the risk of injury. Mistake number 1, not working at different angles. If you always do the same pull or the same row, you can be sure your back isn't developing as well as it could. After all, the back isn't a single, simple muscle. On the contrary, there are several regions and fibers that need to be stimulated from different angles. It's not enough to just pull vertically, like in pull-ups or lat pull-downs. You also need to work in horizontal or even inclined planes, using variations in grip and torso positioning. Imagine you only do front pull-downs, with the bar coming from top to bottom. In that case, you'll be training a good portion of your lats, yes, but you'll be neglecting areas like the middle back, which are more engaged in horizontal rows. Additionally, different grips, pronated, supinated, and neutral, also place tension on different areas of the lats and traps. This is where the need for variety in training comes in. That doesn't mean cramming your back day with 10 different exercises, but rather selecting a few that complement each other. Another benefit of working at different angles is that it reduces the risk of stagnation. When your body gets used to a single type of movement, it tends to become efficient at it, and over time, the stimulus is no longer as challenging, even if you increase the weight. Slightly changing your grip or row variation forces your muscles to wake up to a new challenge, leading to more hypertrophy. Now that you understand why so many people fail in back training, let's talk about the only 4 exercises you need. Exercise number 4, lat pull down on the cable machine. The lat pull down or high pull is a classic and practically essential exercise for anyone looking to build a big wide back. It primarily targets the latissimus dorsi, but also engages muscles like the lower trapezius and rhomboids for stabilization. Additionally, the biceps act as a synergist, but if performed correctly, you'll feel your back on fire long before your arms give out. This is one of the best exercises for increasing back width because the vertical top-to-bottom movement emphasizes the lateral portion of the lats, the part that creates the highly desired V shape. Since it's a cable-guided exercise, you can easily control the weight and range of motion while maintaining constant tension. Although the primary focus of this exercise is the latissimus dorsi, it also involves the teres major and minor, as well as mid-back muscles for trunk stabilization. To a lesser degree, the middle and lower trapezius are also activated, especially at the end of the pull when the scapulae come together. To execute it correctly, adjust the seat height so that your feet are firmly planted on the floor and the bar is within reach with your arms extended, without needing to stand up or lean too much. Grab the bar with a pronated grip, slightly wider than shoulder width. You can vary your grip later, but start with this one. Before initiating the pull, open up your scapulae, letting your shoulders rise slightly. This allows for a greater stretch of the lats. Begin the movement by contracting your back, lower your shoulders and retract your scapulae, pulling the bar toward the upper part of your chest. Think about driving your elbows down and back, rather than just bending your arms. Lower until the bar touches or nearly touches the top of your chest, keeping your torso slightly leaned back, but not excessively. Hold this position for a brief pause at maximum contraction, feeling the squeeze in your lats. Return the bar in a controlled manner, allowing it to rise without losing tension in your back. Extend your arms almost completely, but don't fully relax your scapulae at the top. Maintain slight control to keep the tension engaged. Main mistakes to avoid. Mistake 1. Overarching your lower back or throwing your torso too far back to cheat the weight. This overloads the lumbar region and takes the focus away from your lats. Mistake 2. Holding the bar too wide or too narrow without adjusting to a comfortable angle, which can cause shoulder and wrist pain. Additional tips to intensify the movement. Use different grips, like neutral and supinated, in other workouts to vary the stimulus. Focus on scapular movement, if possible. Start with lighter weight and train yourself to always open up your back during the eccentric phase, then close it during contraction. Don't forget to properly adjust the seat and backrest if the machine has these features. Good posture makes all the difference in targeting the right muscles. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having access to the right information is what will make all the difference in your long-term progress. Many times, we make mistakes simply because we don't know the basics. Exercise 3. One-arm dumbbell row. The one-arm dumbbell row is perfect for correcting imbalances between the right and left sides of your back. Plus, it allows for a great range of motion and forces you to engage your core and lower back for stabilization while targeting the upper back muscles. When you train each side separately, you ensure that one side isn't compensating for the other. This is crucial for fixing asymmetries, and the truth is, Almost everyone has some level of asymmetry. The one-arm row can also be performed at different angles, either by resting one knee on a bench or simply placing one hand on the bench while keeping your foot planted firmly on the ground. This positioning variation helps you find the most comfortable and effective setup for your body type. The main focus of this exercise is the latissimus dorsi and mid-back muscles. There is also strong activation of the spinal erectors, which work isometrically to maintain posture, and the core, which stabilizes the torso in the bent-over position. To perform it correctly, place a dumbbell beside the bench. Rest one knee and the hand on the same side on the bench, keeping your spine neutral and your core tight. The other leg stays extended on the floor, with the foot firmly planted and the torso slightly inclined. Grab the dumbbell with your free hand, letting your arm extend downward toward the floor. Slightly open your scapulae, allowing that shoulder to move forward a bit. Start the movement by contracting your back, bring your elbow up and back, feeling the scapula move toward the center of your back. Focus on pulling with your elbow, not with your hand. Raise the dumbbell close to your ribs or to a point where you feel a full back contraction. Avoid twisting your torso. The goal is to keep your chest facing the floor for most of the movement. Briefly pause at the top, feeling the squeeze in your lats. Then lower the dumbbell in a controlled manner, extending your arm again and opening your scapulae at the bottom. Main mistakes to avoid. Mistake 1. Using body momentum to pull the dumbbell, swinging your torso up and down. Remember, this is a row, not a rocking motion. Mistake 2. Twisting your torso excessively to lift the dumbbell, which takes the focus off your lats and can strain your lower back. Additional tips to intensify the movement. Slow down the eccentric phase, taking 2 to 3 seconds to lower the dumbbell, feeling the back stretch. Try to sync your breathing, exhale as you pull the dumbbell and inhale as you lower it. This helps engage your core and improves focus during the exercise. If you feel your forearm fatiguing too much, try using lifting straps or grip gloves so that your back, not your grip strength, remains the limiting factor. Exercise 2, bent over barbell row. The bent-over barbell row is a true classic in back training. It's one of the most complete exercises for the dorsal region because it targets not only the lats, but also the mid-back muscles like the rhomboids and middle trapezius, as well as the lower back, which plays a key role in stabilization. This is a compound movement that builds both strength and size impressively, if performed correctly. Unlike a machine-guided exercise, the bent-over barbell row requires you to keep your torso inclined and stable throughout the movement. This also strengthens the core muscles and spinal erectors. Additionally, since the bar isn't restricted by cables or rails, you have more freedom to adjust your grip and torso position to better engage your back. Progressive overload is also easier, as you can simply add plates to the bar as you advance. Since this is an exercise that many people tend to perform incorrectly, here's how to do it properly. Start by standing with your feet hip-width apart. Grip the bar with a pronated grip, at about shoulder width or slightly wider, depending on what feels comfortable. Slightly bend your knees and hinge your torso forward, keeping your spine neutral. Think about pushing your hips back slightly, without rounding your lower back. Let your arms extend toward the floor, slightly opening your scapulae. Start the movement by contracting your back. Pull the bar toward the lower part of your chest or your navel, depending on which angle feels best. Focus on driving your elbows up and back, bringing your scapulae together. Main mistakes to avoid. Mistake 1. Rounding the spine, especially the lower back, which creates a huge risk of injury. Proper posture is key. Keep your chest open, shoulders back, and core engaged. Mistake 2. Raising your shoulders toward your ears, overloading the upper traps and losing focus on the mid-back muscles. Additional tips to intensify the movement. Vary your grip. Try both pronated and supinated grips, as each one emphasizes different areas slightly. If possible, use a lifting belt to protect your lower back, especially when lifting heavier weights. However, remember that a belt does not replace proper form. Keep your gaze fixed on a spot on the ground slightly ahead of you to avoid straining your neck. Exercise 1. Pull-up. Just as the squat is called the king of leg exercises, the pull-up is often referred to as the king of back exercises. If you're not yet able to do an unassisted pull-up, don't worry. I'll show you how to start training for it in a more manageable way. This movement engages a large amount of muscle mass and demands a lot from your relative strength. For those unfamiliar, relative strength refers to how strong you are in relation to your own body weight. Pull-ups are excellent for increasing back width, building density, and improving shoulder and core stability. When you hang from the bar and pull your entire body weight up, the latissimus dorsi, trapezius, rhomboids, and even core muscles are heavily recruited. Additionally, your arms and forearms are activated as they must support your body weight. It's an exercise that tests and develops your overall strength. Typically, those who master pull-ups have well-developed, defined backs because this movement works multiple muscle groups at once. To execute it correctly, grab the bar with a pronated grip slightly wider than shoulder width or at shoulder width to start. Hang from the bar with your arms fully extended. Here, your scapulae should also be slightly elevated at the beginning. Start the movement by contracting your back, pull your scapulae down and in while bending your elbows and lifting your body toward the bar. Your goal is to get your chin to the height of the bar or even surpass it if possible. Keep your torso stable, avoiding excessive leg swinging. Pause briefly at the top, feeling maximum contraction in your lats, then lower yourself in a controlled manner until your arms are fully extended, but without completely relaxing your scapulae. Main mistakes to avoid. Mistake 1. Using body momentum or kicking your legs to gain impulse. This is called kipping, which is common in certain disciplines but takes the focus away from back development if your goal is hypertrophy. Mistake 2. Stopping the descent before fully extending your arms, which reduces the full range of motion. Mistake 3. Pushing your neck forward to get your chin over the bar instead of actually pulling with your back. Mistake 4. Overdoing a super wide grip, which can overload the shoulders without providing significant additional benefits for the lats. If unassisted pull-ups are still too difficult, you can start with assisted pull-ups using machines that provide knee support, or perform them with a partner who helps during the concentric phase. Another option is using resistance bands. Loop a band over the bar and place your feet or knees in it to reduce the effective weight. This way, you can complete the full movement while gradually building strength. Over time, you can progress to lighter bands until you achieve unassisted pull-ups. Now, one last important warning. There's no point in doing the best back exercises if you're neglecting key factors outside the gym. That's exactly why a video is about to pop up on your screen, showing 11 things most people do without realizing that completely sabotage their training. Thanks for watching, and may God bless you, my friend.